Well, hello. This is Karin Zoe Lee, and you're listening to Lotus Moon Productions. Welcome to LMP Music. Whatever the music, whatever the tune, we're here to learn, discuss, and promote the independent music scene. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 45 minutes as Shugo Hanasaki tackles the music industry one artist at a time.
Welcome to the music side of Lotus Moon Productions. Today we're welcoming back two guests from 2019. The three of us thought it'd be pretty cool to have an interview this way, and an interview we shall have. First, from episode 2, I'm having Dakota back to let us know what he's been up to, but we're both friends with our guest of the hour, so we decided it'd be a lot of fun to interview our second returning guest together. This guest appeared on episode 4 and has been quite the busy artist since our last chat. Since we last spoke, he's been collaborating with Robo Rob, Need, Dazzled, and Oh Hey, as well as releasing an EP for Lo-Fi, the mobile rhythm game Nirvana, and if that weren't enough, he re-released his track entitled Way Back Home with a 2021 twist, which I've come to really enjoy. So without further ado, let's welcome both guests and catch up. Introducing Dakota from episode 2 and our music guest of the hour, SARE from episode 4. How's it going today, guys?
Good. Hey. How's it going?
Going pretty good.
I'm glad to hear it's going well here. It's great to have you both on the podcast again. Despite it being 2 years, it seems like it was just yesterday I had you both on here.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it's been insane recently. Like, I don't know what's been going on. I don't know if it's just because of the pandemic or whatnot, but time seems to be flying like quick recently.
Yeah.
I don't know
why.
I
agree with that. Yeah.
I do agree as well. Like, it's April now, and I mean, I've said that the podcast would kind of make the winter fly, but at the same time, it hasn't just been the podcast. Time's been flying. It's April, man. It's April.
Right? I can't believe we're almost halfway through the year now. It's insane.
Yeah,
like, what
crazy.
the heck is going on?
Well, whatever it is, I mean, hopefully, the faster the year goes, the faster we can get out of all this pandemic, vaccine, and just get back to normal.
Yep.
I hope so.
So in our last episode, we spoke a lot about your origin story and inspirations as an artist. And since we covered that in our first interview, I highly recommend to anybody who's listening to go check our previous episode together. So you're all caught up. But I thought it would be fun for Dakota and I to talk about your most recent releases, share some previews so the audience can have more of a taste of your music and catch up with your life. How's that sound, Sarah?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's go.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'll let Dakota start things off.
Right. Yeah. So as we mentioned in the past with the individuals who inspired you, now that you've pretty much made a very robust musical footprint in your work, has anyone ever come up to you or messaged you saying that you've inspired them to become a musician themselves?
Oh, that is a really good question. There's been a couple of people, not online, but some people who were just like, oh, hey, you really inspired me to kind of start doing production and stuff like that. It's either through mutual friends or just through people I know, and they listened to some of my stuff and they were just like, oh, hey, this guy's stuff is cool. Maybe I want to try and start doing music production. And I always tell them just practice and yeah, see where it goes from there. So yeah.
Have you actually had anybody like us, for example, talk to you as fans? Have anyone that's consistently talking to you and consistently messaging you on your YouTube or your SoundCloud or anything?
Oh yeah. So there's a person online, an artist called Platinum 2XA. He does sonic art, but he also does his own art as well. I think it was when he reached out to me, it was when I did a kind of remix version of a song for the YouTube channel Mardiculous, or I don't know.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah, I've heard of them in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it just kind of came to say, hey, I really liked your remix. And then we started to talk a lot more from there, and he's helped me do a couple of visualizers and stuff like that. So, and he's commissioned me a couple of times to do some remixes, I guess, for for his projects as well. They're not released yet, but they will be in sometime in the future.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to hearing them once they come out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible the fact that you make some really snazzy tunes. I mean, a lot of your music sounds like it has a lot of inspiration from Nitro Fun. It almost sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like like during when I started to make music back in like secondary school, high school, I guess. Yeah, I guess like that was one of like the inspirations, like because like my friend, one of my friends, they like introduced me to the Monster Cat label and stuff like that, and I like found Variant through them, but I also found like Nitro Fun as well, and me and my friends really enjoyed like his tracks as well. So I wanted to try to find a way to like have like chiptune elements in my tracks as well. So yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff. And I mean, speaking of remixes too, as we just did there a minute ago, one thing I really liked from you last year was your remix of Aeris theme from Final Fantasy VII with Dazzled.
Yeah.
I never knew I needed drum and bass remix. I never knew I needed that until then.
Yeah.
I mean, the Final Fantasy series has always been a favorite of mine. Like, what made you decide to cover that particular song? I mean, it was fantastic.
Well, like one of the main reasons was because like Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming out at that time, like a year ago. So
Yes.
and I was coming out like as soon as like because I was coming out of a writer's block as well, like end of February, beginning of like March, so like 28th of February last year. Yeah. I just started like writing down some ideas for like the Aerith remix, and yeah, like I started like doing like the chords, the drum and bass like aspects of it, and then I was just like, it might be cool to have like somebody who can like add like a twist to this. So I asked Duzzled, he who was recently like in like on the Tiny Wave server, and he was just like, hey, I was just like, hey, I have this remix. Do you want to collaborate on it? And he was like, yeah, sure. So I added him like, so I told him what like elements to add to the remix, and yeah, like everything just went like swimmingly from there. And then like he sent it to DJ Cutman of Game Chops, and yeah, like I've been a fan of like Game Chops for a very long time, like ever since I've started to produce music, and to like finally release on there, it was just like a dream come true in like in many ways. So yeah.
Prior to the Final Fantasy VII remake, were you actually a fan of the original game on PlayStation 1?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
Like
sorry.
I guess like my other introduction to it was like because when I was in South Africa, while I was like 10, 11, my cousin had the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children movie.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that was
That's
like
a good movie.
that was my introduction to like, I guess like a little bit of my introduction to the Final Fantasy, but I was aware of like the franchise, I was aware of the series, and yeah, I guess like my love for that like kind of series and like games like that just kind of grew from there. So yeah.
Well, speaking of games in general, since video games are pretty much your biggest inspiration for a lot of your work. What is a song from a recent game you've played that you would like to remix sometime soon?
Oh, what is a song from a recent game that I'd like to remix soon? Very good question. I guess it would have to depend because it's like what how do I say this? What song works with my style? Like what format can I remix this in? I've been playing recently I've been playing Genshin Impact. I probably want to try and make a remix of one of the tracks from there, because like the arrangements for like the soundtrack is like really beautiful, and I just want to try to do something with that. So yeah.
Nice.
I've heard a lot of good things about Genshin Impact, and I played it briefly, and I've heard some of the music online, and yeah, the music is great. Who are the composers behind it? Do you know?
Like, oh boy, I have to.
It's no big
I
deal
have to check.
if you don't off the top of your head.
It's okay, yeah.
I was just curious. 'Cause,
The
I know a few video game companies out there make brilliant music for their
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. The soundtrack is done by Yu Peng Chen. So
Okay, all right.
all right.
I'm not familiar with them, but that's
Yeah.
yeah. It's someone to look out for. Like, you know, if they make other video games in the future, it's like, oh yeah, the soundtrack's going to be good because it's by this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be sharing 3 preview tracks of your most recent work with the audience, as I mentioned earlier. And we'll start back in 2019 with your collaboration with Robo Rob entitled Remember Me, which is perfect title, since 2019 was when we last spoke. So we're telling everybody to do it for you.
Crazy.
Yeah, it just works anyway.
Yeah.
Afterwards, Dakota and I will dive into the background and the inspiration behind the track. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, let's start things off. Here's a 45-second clip of Remember Me featuring SARE from Robo Rob's album entitled Full Circle.
Can't go on, life goes on, but will you remember me? You remember me, you remember me. Passing by, I feel fine, wasting time, but do you remember me? You remember me, you remember.
Now, personally, I love the style of that track. Chiptunes or that 8-bit type of electro house style has always been a fun time listening to. And as I said before, it reminds me kind of Nitro Fun's work. And we already know that you're familiar with him. So, like, how did that collaboration come together?
So like when Rob sent the track to me, he said that like another like vocalist was supposed to be on it. Like before we even like had the conversation of like, you know, getting me onto the track. It kind of like reminded me a little bit of like Dead Mouse, so I wanted to try and get like that kind of like Dead Mousey vocal effects and like the chanting as well. So like I kind of like layered my voice a couple of times to give like this kind of like crowd chanting effect. And I guess that really works in the like the live aspect as well, because like, you know, I get like the crowd to like sing along to the song, and it's always a fun time to sing it live. As opposed to the inspiration, yeah, I think when I wrote the song, I was coming out of like a really rough time. Like I was coming off a really rough time. I was like depressed for a while, and there was like a little bit of an incident. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, like from that incident, I was just like, okay. Yeah, from that incident, I was just like, okay, like let's try and like write songs, because like, you know, I started to feel like I was starting to get myself better. I was starting to like, you know, have more confidence in myself. And as soon as Rob sent the song, he had like the melody over, and I was just like, oh, let's make this like, you know, kind of like chant chorus like format. So it's like, you know, catchy. And I just kind of wrote the lyrics and did the vocals in like a night. So
Wow, that was
Yeah.
quick.
yeah.
That's pretty quick. It's very, very impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, speaking of collaborations, are there any new collaborations coming this year? And on the topic of collaborations, are there artists you would love to work with that you haven't had the chance to yet?
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of collaborations in the works. One with Dakota on that year. We're
Yeah.
Oh,
currently
sweet. Look at that now.
Yeah, we're currently working on something. A couple with Robo Rob. Yeah, so like a couple of remixes with Robo Rob. Those will be confirmed soon. Let's see, what other projects do I have? Like a couple of originals as well. There's going to be one at the end of the month that I'm going to be releasing with Duzzled and Creepy.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah,
love their
so
work.
yeah, so it's nice to it was good to collaborate with those two, and yeah, we did that one for an event called All Nighter, which is a kind of event where you have to write a song within like an allocated time of like 24 hours. So everything from like production to like writing lyrics to like mixing and mastering, stuff like that. And yeah, just had to, and we were just like, we got a song. But unfortunately, it didn't go through. But we are releasing it on Hyperpop, a label called Hyperpop. So yeah.
I gotta ask really quick regarding stuff like that. You mentioned that was a 24-hour project. Do you tend to work pretty sufficiently under crunch time per se, or do you feel like you need to go on your own flow?
I guess that would depend. On like what kind of projects I'm working with. Sometimes like I would have to work on my own, like within my own flow, but sometimes I just like write stuff really really quickly, and I'm just like, okay, I'm inspired, let's do this song.
Right.
And like whenever I have like these like random bursts of inspiration, it's just like the best feeling. And writing these songs really quickly is just like, hey, we got something here. And then like I just take time to like try and improve it a bit, or try to build upon it. And yeah.
Nice.
Now Dakota and SARE making a collaboration. Is there anything else you can share about that with the audience?
What's something that will not give it away just yet, but will be something sufficient?
It's a video game remix.
Yeah, there's that.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, picturing you guys collaborating, and I have to say this because it just gave me an image in my mind, and maybe we can talk more about it off air. But Dakota, you're still playing the ukulele, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and you just smash it, man. You're so good at it.
Oh, thank you.
And I had this idea. I mean, obviously right now we can't really do music videos and such right now because the world and how it is.
Yeah.
But I could just imagine with SARE's like chiptune 8-bit kind of style, and then you just like sitting there on an island like by yourself playing the ukulele, and then somehow like it kind of spins, like it starts to change and morph into like this nitro fun kind of like thing. And it just like, I don't know, I can just picture some sort of combination of you starting off with just nothing but ukulele, and then it morphing into that 8-bit chiptune kind of sound, and then ending with just nothing but the ukulele. Like, I think there's something there. I think you guys could make an amazing original track.
Ooh.
Well, that entire concept essentially right now is being more or less implemented into this remix.
Yeah.
SARE already has pretty much the foundation down on his end. It's just my turn at the moment to implement my style and compare it to his and see how well it flows. So
Okay.
I am working with a couple different styles right now that I'm familiar with, but I haven't decided on a key thing just yet.
Cool, man. And are you going to be releasing anything this year at all?
I do have one thing currently at the moment, and it is going to be a credits theme for a small indie animation pilot for
Ooh.
somebody that I recently started getting in contact with last year. Can't go into the details about it, but hopefully you should see something about it within the next 2 or 3 months.
Sweet, man. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
Thank you.
Now, fast forward from 2019 to March 2020, SARE and Ohei, is it pronounced? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you guys, you released a track entitled "Another Day," which we're going to share a preview of as well for the audience. But before we do, March 2020. Now that was essentially when the world shut down, and honestly, I'm curious to both of you and to like how has the last year treated you both in regards to the pandemic? Like, it's been a wild year for many people, and many people in the music industry took a massive hit financially. And I guess we'll start with Dakota. How has the pandemic affected you?
From a general standpoint, the pandemic never really affected me too harshly, just because with beyond the music and beyond everything else that I do that you see online, I essentially just work like a simple job like a lot of middle class Americans do. So I'm kind of in the ballpark of being like an essential worker per se. So I was constantly around it, and even though we had to wear masks, even though we had the social distance and whatnot, it's just a situation where you basically become numb to it, and once you just make sure that you're like washing your hands and whatnot, it's just a regular day thing for me. But yeah, beyond that, there were personal things that happened throughout 2020 that I think is a little bit too sensitive still personally to speak about. Yeah. But I'm glad to say that at the very least I'm getting through them with flying colors at the moment, and it looks like the future is looking ever so bright for just what I want to do going forward.
Well, being an essential worker, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. Like, it could be the grocery store, it could be a fast food restaurant, it could be anything. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, this pandemic, like people working 8 to 12 hours with a mask on, and you got to make sure you wear your hand sanitizer, you got to make sure you got to do all this. And mm-hmm. to a lot of people, that raises your anxiety to the roof. And luckily, I mean, I'm not saying I'm lucky to be on disability, because I certainly am not, but I'm lucky to have it there. But, being at home, I'm lucky to be at home in all of this. And every time I go to the grocery store, I think to myself, I see the workers there, and I'm like, gosh, like, you're there 8 hours a day. You're talking to or you're bringing all these people through, or you're just working there, being involved, being around people. And, in this time where there's a lot of dumb people.
That's putting it mildly, but
yeah,
yes.
that's putting it very lightly. But there's a lot of dumb people. But honestly, I can't thank you guys enough. Like any essential worker out there who puts themselves 8 to 12 hours a day wearing a mask, being social distance, hand sanitizing all the time, just to make sure that they don't get sick or spread to somebody else, because we don't, this virus has been kind of chaotic. And it's just I can't thank you enough, Dakota.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'd be more than happy to do it again if it all were to happen again.
Well, see, that's why the world needs workers like you, dedicated and just like being there and just being prepared to do it all over it again. That's fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And what about you, SARE?
Well, I guess like when the lockdown started, it was kind of like a little bit chaotic. Like in terms of like personally, like with stuff like university and everything else. So I had to like go home, but then like I guess that just kind of like took a turn, because like creatively I just felt more inspired, and I wrote a lot of music when like during that whole lockdown period. I just started to work on stuff, playing online events as well. So like Avalanche, it was like a kind of, it was a I'm trying to remember. Avalanches was a kind of it was like a fundraiser, but at the same time it was like 3-4 day live event.
Okay.
Like so they had like DJs from all over the world to like play. They had Teddy Lloyd there, and I was just like, whoa.
Oh wow, yeah, Teddy Lloyd's incredible.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, cool. We have Teddy Lloyd. That is a big that's a big artist. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, I was really happy to play, because like that was like that event, the proceeds went to like the Black Lives Matter like bail funds. Like 100% of the proceeds was going to like those like all across America. I guess also at the time it was like just playing like live events. So like Avalanche, as I mentioned before, couple of like the Tiny Waves online events. Mag West was also one, which is kind of like it's like a kind of like West like like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a sister event to Magfest. So
okay, yeah.
Because like before like the pandemic happened, I went to the US, went to go and see my friends at Magfest, and that was a fun time. And then
remember you mentioning that when I was messaging you, and you said you had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun there and like performing as well. It was just one of the best feelings in the world. But yeah, during the lockdown, yeah, it was just like mostly like positive. Like, I like spent time with my family. Um, I guess like, some of my stuff was like getting out a bit more. Like my releases were a bit sporadic because like because I wanted to focus a lot more on like a really big project that I'm planning to release at the end of the year. So yeah.
So I gotta ask, since we were talking about live performances and whatnot, and live DJ sets whenever you do them.
Yeah.
In recent years, prior to the pandemic, when you're going into those things, do you usually feel like you're quote unquote in your zone when you perform, or do you tend to have any kind of like anxiety beforehand during the performances, or actually like after or anything?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So sometimes I have like anxieties like before I go into it, like perform, because like most of the time it's like arranging like what I'm going to play, like what works, what transitions, and like essentially since like last year's Gamer Disco event, I started like implementing live, like more of a live performance in it. So like I had like my keytar, so I was just like playing along to like the melodies and stuff like that.
That has become so iconic. That keytar has been so iconic to you as a person. I love that thing to death.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like just like implementing like the live playing and the DJing, and I guess it was just kind of like getting the things to work at the same time, because like most times it would go like quiet. I'm just like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And like most times, like, but I guess I'm in the zone when like mostly when I'm performing, because like I have like a show to perform, like I have to like present this to like an audience, and if I mess up, then like I just like I try to play it off like oh well. Something happened. Let's see.
If I was in your shoes with anything like that, just because I am very much a studio artist rather than a live performing artist, if I were to get into something like that, I'd be like, how you all doing? It's just like my voice would crack and everything.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, like mostly it's just like for me, like I always like to practice before like I do a set, because like I always like tend to practice like at least 10 days or like couple of days before like the set. Like I practice like from singing to like sorting out like the equipment, also just like the DJ set in general, or like what changes I made and what like stuff I'm adding as well. So yeah.
So you feel prepared in that regard whenever you get up and do those things then.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Depending on how you're performing, I mean, improv is the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I
point.
also wanted to. Yeah, that's what I also wanted to implement with like the keytar as well, because like I'm just like playing along, but I also wanted to like just like do like a couple of keytar solos. So yeah, it's a fun time.
I love keytars, man. They're so awesome.
I always wanted to get one, and then after that, when I convinced myself like, right, I'm gonna get one.
If I got one, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Like, I obviously I would go online and learn lessons, but I was like, I want one so bad. But I'd be like, can I learn this? Am I smart enough to learn this?
you need to make a synthwave music video if you get one.
Oh man, can you imagine?
Please do.
Yes.
I would love it. man. I would love to buy a keytar. I mean, maybe I shouldn't invest in one. We'll see.
I'll be the bad influence. Do it. Do it.
Yeah. It seems I'm being forced. So I mean, well, it's what I've always wanted one. I've always looked up at them, and they're so cool. They're so cool, and the things that you can do with them, amazing.
Yeah.
Now, getting back to Another Day, we're gonna share a preview of it and then dive into the background of it. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Perfect. Well, here's a 45-second clip of Another Day by Oh Hey and SARE.
Wanna be okay, want to be somewhere else, just to see another day and just be me. I can't take it no longer, I just wanna be okay, want to
Now, this track has a nice tropical chill vibe in it, which I'm all for the tropical house, as most people know. But as I mentioned, as I mentioned before the preview, could you tell Dakota and I how such a tropical song came together between you and Ohe?
Yeah, sure. So like originally, like before like Oh Hey got involved, it was just like a demo track that I had written like before 2020. I wanted to kind of like do like a style that was like, like vaguely different to like all of my other stuff. So I was just like, so I just like had the song there. I recorded like the vocals, like the vocals was pretty much from the demo version, and then like Oh Hey was just like, oh hey, I heard like a preview of the track, because like I sent like a preview to like my Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And then like I sent him the full track, because like before it was just kind of like I guess like not really somber, but like in terms of like melody and stuff like that, it was more sad, like sad chords and stuff like that, but still a dancey format. But like yeah, sent it to Oh Hey, sent the vocals to him, and then from there he just added like these kind of like tropical vibes to like everything, that like just kind of like tropical-esque vibes. He added like his own spin to it, like so it's like hugely different from like the demo version, which is
Oh,
like
wow.
yeah, so yeah.
Pretty cool.
What's the key differences with the demo and the final product? Like, is there any like different chord progressions or anything, or?
um so the demo version, yeah, this is like more like demo version is more just kind of like I don't know how to describe it. It's more less tropical, and just kind of like this kind of like dark but kind of like trancey influenced chords, like but very like trance plucked sad like chords, and the vocals are still the same.
Nice.
I guess like with the demo versions drop, it was more of like me just kind of like messing around like with different quantizations, different pitches of my voice. So like I had like like my normal voice, like just normal, and then I tuned it up, like I tuned my vocal up to like a higher pitch, so like just to kind of like add like a variation, a kind of like movement to the song. And then yeah, and then the demo version, well, and the release version, sorry, is more more tropical, sounds like a little bit like more, yeah, just like more tropical, more midsummer kind of feel. Oh Hey wanted like a kind of like extra vocal, like there was a part in the song, it was just like like that part was just like that wasn't there in the demo, like so like there was like a newly added part to
Gotcha.
yeah, so yeah,
Well, it came out fantastic either way. I absolutely love that track.
thank you.
You have such a sweet voice. You could serenade us for the next 20 minutes. just the next 20 minutes. Yeah, just keep going.
Thank you.
That was very sweet. Now, before we leave 2020, I mean, you also released a track with Robo Rob, and you've worked with him a few times now, right?
Yeah, a couple of times, yeah.
Yeah. And you released a track called Corpse Party, which we're not going to preview, but I was curious because, again, it's been 2 years since we chatted, so I wanted to know how that track came along too.
So I had like the foundation of the track, so I had like the foundation of like the entire track, because like around the time I was making it, it was like Halloween, and I just wanted to try something like very dark, very gritty, very like Castlevania inspired, with like the organs and the like chords. Like I wanted to try to do like different things with like the chords and the keys. like normally like with the way I write stuff, like I tend to be like more melodic and like, you know, melodic, give like a lighthearted feel. But this one I was just like, yeah, no, like let's just take everything like lighthearted out and just go ham with this one. And then I got into contact with the vocalist Nee, who is a VTuber. Who's a VTuber now. So she decided to. So I sent her the track, and then like what she sent me back was like the vocals. It sounded really, really good, and it was just like, yep, we're adding this to the track, and it just fit with like how I wanted like the vision of the track to go, because I wanted it to be dark, wanted it to be like not so much like not edgy, but like, you know, kind of like round there. And then like I asked Rob to, you know, just kind of like to enhance the track like a lot more. So yeah, like, you know, enhance the track, add some like extra like basses and stuff like that. Like some of the basses in like because like I already had like the foundation done, and like all of the heavy basses were there, but like I wanted like more like energy.
Well, it's an excellent track. Did you hear it, Dakota?
Sorry, say it again.
Did you hear Corpse Party?
I actually have not yet. No. I need to go actually ahead and check that one out.
No, it's cool. It's I like it a lot. So I thought I'd just throw it in here just to mention it, because people need to go listen to it. And I mean, your work with Robo Rob is always great.
It's always a fun experience like working with Rob. Like as I mentioned before, like I'm working on like a kind of like couple of remixes upcoming soon. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And oh yeah, I think I should probably mention that Rob released a VIP disco house version of Remember Me, so there's that to check out too.
Oh, there you go. More songs popping up everywhere. I love it.
Hey.
So the third and final track you wanted us to share, and Back to the Present Year, was your 2021 rework of Way Back Home off your 2018 EP release, Tree. Now, I really enjoyed the original version, but you absolutely smashed it by redoing it, remastering it, remixing it, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, before we dive into the rebirth of that particular track, let's show the audience what we're talking about. How's that sound?
Yeah, go for it. Let's go.
Sweet. So without further ado, here is our final 45-second clip of Way Back Home by SARE.
Hold you one last time before you fade away, like sandcastles in the wind. Everything will change, and I see you in my dreams almost every day. I hope that you live on in my memories, and I'll try every single day. I write the story and the path to guide their way, and I know that we're almost there. We'll keep trying and trying, and we'll try to make our way back up. And I know that we're almost there, and we'll keep trying to find our way back up.
Now, as I mentioned beforehand, I really do like the new version, and I love hearing you sing more. I mean, your voice is just big. Your voice is even more incredible than it was 2 years ago. And I have to ask, why that particular song to rework?
So like I wanted to rework it because like well, before I decided to release it, it was going to be a like live version of like Way Back Home when like my upcoming new project is coming out, like, you know, upcoming project this year is coming out. And like, you know, I decided to rework most of my older tracks, so like songs from Tree, like, and the singles like after that. So yeah, like with that in mind, I was just like, okay, let's make it more like, let's add like, you know, stuff that I would do like now to like, you know, production wise. I was like, okay, let's add stuff that would make like the track like vastly like bigger than the original, and like, you know, better mixing, better mastering, lots more like color and flavor like in within the mix and like instrumentation as well. So I went for like more like acoustic basses and like guitars and stuff like that, and just wanted to give like this funky version of like Way Back Home. And yeah, like it's a fun version to like go back and listen to, because like when I made Way Back Home, like the original version, it was just like, okay, like this is the original version, but like I feel like but the 2021 version is probably what represents that track more, because like it's a lot better, and personally I think it's a lot better than the original version. But yeah.
Well, we all are our own worst critics, so that's understandable. Yeah. But either way, both the original and the new one are incredibly good sounding.
Thank you. Like, and I don't like have any hate for like the original version, because like that song like has helped me. Like that song has helped me a lot in terms of like the EP, and yeah, that song is just like my favorite, like one of my favorite songs to perform. And yeah, like it's always such a blast to it's always such a blast to listen back to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of my favorite songs 3 years ago when it was first released, and now that you reworked it, I'm like, where has this version come from? Like, like it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And
thank you.
I can't wait to hear more. I mean, maybe this could be a tradition. Like every couple of years, you just go back and rework an old track.
Probably. I could probably do that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, like yeah, the inspiration was just for like that Way Back Home remix was like Way Back Home rework, sorry, was just like because like I was developing my next EP / album. I don't know what it's going to be. But like yeah, I was developing my like next project during that time, and I was just like, yeah, it needs to be in this kind of style, and it represents what I'm going to be doing with like my next project. And so I was just like, yeah, okay.
Now, I've been told recently that audience members love to know what programs or music equipment that the artist used. So to those who are curious, what programs or music equipment do you use to create such music? I mean, how does a track come together?
So I use Fruity Loops or FL Studio.
Okay,
yeah, and I've been using it for the past, I guess, 10 years now. But like I haven't really like, but I guess when I started at SARE, it was like in 2012. So like this year would be like the 9th year that I've been working as SARE. But yeah, like I use like Fruity Loops, and like I guess the way that I kind of started doing that was just like experimenting, making music every day. Because like when I first started, it was just like I was making music constantly, bad but constantly.
You got to start from somewhere.
Exactly.
I was the same exact way with FL8 when I started back in 2008.
Yeah. Yeah, like you always got to start from somewhere. Like I was like listening back to like one of my very like old songs, actually a couple of my old songs on stream, like when I was like doing like a couple of Twitch streams like the beginning of this month. So yeah, I always like just went back to that and was like, oh, it's like it's bad to listen to, but it like the idea was there, but the execution not so much.
Right.
So yeah, like so I just like decided to so I guess like as I like decided to like evolve like my own style, like yeah, just kind of everything became a little bit better from there. And yeah.
Nice. So with all that being said, you just for those who don't know, you're finishing college soon, right?
I'm finishing university, yes.
Yeah. Where you were going in for music, if I'm correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. So over the past several years, now that you're now coming to a close with university, do you feel like that has actually helped you grow both as a musician and as a person?
Yeah, I feel like it has helped me like grow like as a musician, because like some of the events that they let me play, one of them was like for BBC Introducing, which was like a really big opportunity. yeah, it was like a really big opportunity, and I was just like, yes, please. So
Wow.
like I like went there, and I had a good time. Everybody liked the music. I think I remember like not recording some of the set, and then after that I think like a couple of minutes in like through the set, like I was just like, oh, I'm not recording the set. I want this to go on YouTube and stuff like that. But yeah, I was like too late. I was just like, oh well, record the rest of the set and then like see what I'll do with the footage after. So yeah.
Well, good to hear that. I'm glad to see that it helps because a lot of people, whenever they're going into college or university, depending on what they're trying to get a degree in, they feel like some people feel like it's benefited them, and some people feel like it was just a waste of time and money. So it's good to hear that that's actually helped you with everything.
Yeah, like I guess it's a little bit like a little bit of both, but like at the same time it helped me more because like it helped me with like more connections and like friends and stuff like that. So I've got like friends who songwrite songs, friends who produce and stuff like that. So friends I want to collaborate, and like thinking about it now, like if it wasn't for that university, like I wouldn't have met these amazing people, and I wouldn't have had these like opportunities as well. So
It built
yeah.
the connections that you needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah.
Well,
So-
connections are everything in the music industry.
exactly.
So with about 10 minutes left or so in the podcast, I would love to step outside of your music career and talk more about both of your interests and hobbies and what you might, what you might both get up to when you're not creating music. I mean, lately I've been finding it's an excellent way for the audience and I to connect with artists on a deeper level by sharing anything related to hobbies, interests, such as video games, TV shows, movies, food, outdoor activities, etc., etc. Would that be okay?
Yeah,
Of
that's
course.
of course.
Cool. Well, let's start with Dakota first, and then we'll hear from SARE about his hobbies and stuff.
So hobbies. Well, for the most part, whenever I'm not busy at work or at home doing music, I'm usually just either chilling out at home or trying to see if I can take a drive somewhere in the area that I live in because there's a lot of open road out where I personally live in the southwestern United States, and there's basically a lot of beautiful scenery. In an area where I personally live, it's more desert based, but about a good 45 minutes up north, it starts turning into a lot more into forests, and I like to go hiking over there and whatnot whenever I get some free time. And there's also fishing and whatnot, which I don't tend to do a whole lot because I usually don't renew my fishing license. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That and maybe some video games.
What kind of video games?
At the moment, I'm currently playing something that I stopped like maybe 1/18th of the way in called Nier Automata.
Oh, yeah, I've
What a
heard of
good
it.
game.
Yeah. My friend introduced me to it back in he introduced me to it back in I think 2018. Yeah, 2018. And I got into it and I got to the point I don't know how much of this is going to be a spoiler, so if anything, spoiler warning to some people watching this, you've been warned or listening to this. I got to the point where in the game there's this scene where there's a bunch of robots and they're all huddling together and they're basically having just this giant orgy. And it sounds really, really weird, but keep in mind these robots look like trash cans with like dome heads, and they all come together and form this thing that births this like white-haired android-looking individual that turns out to be like a really difficult individual, like a really difficult boss. And I'm just like, okay, I've had enough of this. And I told my friend who let me borrow the game, like, why didn't you tell me that there was going to be a giant robot orgy?
Sorry, children.
But I'm getting back into it now, and honestly, I really do like it. It's a very weird mix of like bullet hell for a 3D environment and just a bunch of sword slashing and everything. It's really, really fun.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about that game. And what about you, SARE?
So like recently, recently I've been like playing video games. So like as I mentioned before, Genshin Impact. And also I like in February I completed like Kingdom Hearts 3 because like during that whole time of it like because I had it like when it released, but then during like that whole like 2 year like period, it was just like I had like university, I had like a lot of work to do, and I couldn't like touch like my PlayStation to even like play like a like a little bit of it. So like I managed to complete it like now that I'm back home, and I'm happy about that. Also, yeah, I've been watching a lot of series like anime series recently. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of anime series recently. Shaman King is back, so I'm excited
Right?
about that.
Oh yeah, they remade it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
used to watch it all the time back in the 2000s. Yeah.
Oh,
Me too. Shout out to Shaman King.
my childhood was screaming when I saw the first episode.
Is it out yet? Is it actually out now?
I was like, I had to like watch it like because like I had to watch it like on some other website because like the whole thing with like Netflix and stuff like that, it usually comes out like a couple of like months.
I
Like,
wasn't sure if
after
it was
those.
out yet or not.
But yeah, it's currently airing. So
Oh,
yeah,
sweet. All right, I'm gonna be catching up on that too.
so like I think it's like on episode 2 now. So
Cool. I don't have much to watch then, because yeah, Shaman King was an awesome series when I was a kid.
yeah. So yeah, I think that was like one of my very first introductions to anime. So I was super happy that like it's getting a remake, and like I'm super excited about it. So yeah.
Sweet, guys. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. And finally, before we end things on the podcast, what is next for SARE? What are some future goals that you'd like to accomplish over the next couple of years?
That is a really good question. Because I haven't really thought about it much. Yeah, I would like to compose for more game. Like, I would like to compose for like more games. I had like because like as you mentioned before, I had like an opportunity to produce like a lo-fi soundtrack, the Fleeting EP for Nirvana, but that game got cancelled, unfortunately. So yeah, yeah, but like I'd like to compose like more, like just for more games. Like I'm looking into like anime visual novels or like action games or adventure games. Like just trying to kind of like develop these worlds and play around with like a lot of sounds and instruments instead of like the normal like electronica stuff that I'm doing, because like I want this to be like more more varied in terms of like genres. So I'm like working with a lot of like rock elements. I'm working with a lot of orchestral elements as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting time. But like I'm not saying that like electronic elements won't be there, but like I'd like to try something new every once in a while. And yeah, I've also I'm going to be making this so as like mentioned before, like I had like lo-fi project, but now I'm going to be doing my lo-fi project under a new alias. So like which will be like more focused on lo-fi. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to releasing that soon. I'm not sure when, but soon. But it is currently in the works, and yeah.
What's the name of the alias?
The alias is called like Lost Tree, so it's kind of like a spin on like a demo album I released in 2016, 2017 called Lost, and like my 2018 EP Tree. So cool. Like I guess that kind of like ties into like the whole SARE universe.
Yeah, I like it. I love it. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, neither can I.
And what about you, Dakota? Do you have any future goals that you'd like to accomplish over the next couple of years?
Besides just casually working on music, honestly, I just want to start traveling again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a mood.
Yeah, no, because with the whole pandemic, like I was supposed to go to Ireland last year, just to go travel that area, but obviously that all fell through. So I don't know if I'm going to be trying Ireland now that everything's starting to open up, but I am definitely going to be trying to go back to Japan in like late October.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely envy you. I have yet to get to Japan, but one of these days I will get there.
One of these days.
One of these days.
I swear it'll happen. It's been my dream since I was a child to get there, so it'll happen.
Yeah, this time around though, if everything goes according to plan, instead of going to the general Tokyo area. I'm probably going to be heading more towards Osaka and Kyoto and Nara.
That's where I
Okay.
want to go. That's where I want to go to is Kyoto. I really want to see there's a lot of history behind that city.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's the former capital, so yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we will wrap things up. Thank you so much for spending this hour with me, Dakota and SARE. I had a lot of fun. It was great having you both on the podcast.
Yeah,
Great
thanks
to be
for
here.
having us.
Could you both share your social media with everyone so newcomers know where to find you both? Dakota, you go first, and then SARE follow.
If you want to find me, my main two social media accounts right now are Twitter and YouTube. Twitter is Dakota_Jonesu, JONZU, and YouTube is youtube.com/Dakota Jones Music.
And for me, sorry, it is currently in the works, but the official website is going to be out on the 27th. So www.officialsaremusic.co.uk. My YouTube is Official SARE Music. My Twitter is Official SARE. And yeah, like that's pretty much it. Those are the main platforms that I use.
Sweet. Thank you so much. And I'll jump on the social media bandwagon, and I will share mine as well. You can find us under SoundCloud at Lotus Moon Productions, Facebook under Lotus Moon Productions, Instagram under Lotus M Productions, Spotify under LMP Music, Twitter under Lotus Moon Prod, and you can search us on YouTube under Lotus Moon Productions. Well, this has been LMP Music. Please be kind to one another, be safe, and with that, we are signing off.